the big question is, are the four Gospels in the New Testament reliable as historical sources? According to classical historians like Schweitzer and F.C. Bauer, Walter Bauer, Rudolf Bultmann, H. Ramirez, and others, they are not reliable historical sources. According to contemporary historians like Dale Martin, who himself is a Trinitarian Catholic at Yale University, also Bart Ehrman, they also say no, they're not reliable historical sources, but rather theological sources. Why are they not reliable historical sources? According to these historians, they say there's 6 reasons. They say they're too late. They're written between 40 and 70 years after the events that they purport to describe. They say that they're anonymous. The 4 evangelists, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, do not identify themselves. They were later pseudonymously ascribed to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, who are 2 disciples of Isa alayhi salam. One is a disciple of Peter, and one is a disciple of Paul. So they're not written by eyewitnesses. That's the 3rd reason. Number 4, they're not disinterested. We'll come back to this one. Number 5, they're written in the wrong language. They're written in Greek, whereas Isa alayhi salam and his disciples spoke Syriac, a Semitic language. And number 6, they have certain or numerous inconsistencies that cannot be reconciled or harmonized. Let's go back to number 4, that the 4 Gospels are not disinterested. So this is to say that the 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, reflect what's known as Pauline Christology, Paul's Christology, who many would argue is the actual founder of Christianity. Paul says in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 8, he says, remember Jesus Christ, expermatas David in the Greek, literally from the sperm of David, from the seed of David. Interestingly, Paul doesn't know about the virgin birth at all. He never mentions it. He believes that Jesus is literally a descendant of David. He said, remember Jesus of the seed of David was raised from the dead, kata ta evangeliou mu in the Greek, according to my gospel. That's my gospel. So if you just scratch under the surface here, it seems like Paul is saying that there are other gospels. And indeed, in Galatians, he does say that explicitly. And we're going to get to that in a minute, inshallah ta'ala. In 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 17, Paul says, if Christ is not raised, if there's no resurrection, matea hei pistis heimun. Our faith is null and void. Our faith is in vain. Paul is saying everything, every Christian faith hinges completely on this event, the so-called death and resurrection of Isa alayhi salam. So you have these 4 Gospels that are basically, they have theological agendas. They're polemical tractates, right? The primary goal of the evangelists, the authors of these books, is to convince you with respect to a theological position, not to describe accurate history.